Hello everyone and welcome. Make a cup of your favorite drink and get comfortable because this is a wonderful time for news stories from YellowCat. Send your own stories in the comments below and maybe they'll be in our new video. The customer is always right? F you! People of Reddit, vent your similar stories. So I work at a cafe in a very rich part of town. One day, a man orders a drink, I give it to him, and he comes back yelling and screaming, dropping F-bombs like nobody's business, like the biggest injustice in the world had just occurred to him. His drink was $3. Judging from his complaints, he obviously ordered the wrong drink, so I ask, "Excuse me, sir, are you sure you ordered a blank?" To which he gets even more mad. "Of course I ordered that drink! I'm not an effing or like you!" To which I felt like asking him, "Do you feel better about yourself yelling at a teenage girl who is getting paid minimum wage and has to put up with your BS?" But of course, I don't. Finally, my boss comes by, sweet talks the man, and gives me S even though I did nothing wrong. Whoever said that the customer is always right should get punched in the face. It's a shame this is going to be so buried, but whatever. Edit. Thanks to Raid18 for finding this in the depths of comment age and besnuffing me. While working the registers at America's #1 organic foods retailer, a friend and I were working, him on register, me bagging. This also happens to be in a city with an equal proportion, very cool and very B people. So a woman comes up and this is what happens. For brevity's sake, we'll call my friend and I A, register, and B, bagger. A. Hey, how are you today? Customer, listen, I don't want you to say a single thing to me during this. I don't want to talk to you. A and B look at each other, shrug, order continues as any other, until payment. As woman struggles with credit card machine. Customer, how does this work? Your machine is broken. How do I do this? A and B make complete and total eye contact with woman and say nothing. Customer to cashier, can you help me with this? I can't figure this out. A gives the coldest stare you've ever seen, crosses arms. Customer looking at B. Can you... cold stare. Customer realizes what she's done. Customer, moment of silence while she takes several minutes to work the machine. Customer leaves. Next customer. Well done, guys. I was in line in a Barnes & Noble's during Christmas season and things were taking a while. The guy standing next to me starts loudly talking about the incompetence of the cashiers. Then he starts tapping me in the shoulder and sharing his jokes loudly with me in my face. I tend to be a pretty passive person, but this guy broke 4 rules. 1. Don't be rude. 2. Don't mess with people who are working hard in customer service. I've worked in customer service and understand. 3. Don't touch me. 4. Don't get loud in my face. So I smiled at him as if in on the joke and shouted in his face, I bet their problem is that during this time of year, they have to deal with a lot of a-holes such as yourself. His smile evaporated and he left the line. By the time I got to the counter, the cashier called me her hero and offered to buy me a coffee from the Starbucks in the store. I told her that the satisfaction of the moment was reward enough. I worked at McDonald's for a while during high school to fund an overseas trip. I was about 3 seconds into my shift when a man storms into the store with a cup and slams it down on the counter yelling, "What the H is this?" I wasn't even working when he purchased it, so I didn't know. I told him so and he said, "I asked for a chocolate milkshake! A chocolate milkshake!" I looked inside it. "Sir, this is a chocolate milkshake." "Well, it's not chocolatey enough! I want a refund!" I refunded his money, and as he was walking out of the store, he called me an S. Later that evening, he came back to buy dinner and made a beeline straight for me. He seemed rational and calm. He asked for a free VIP drink with his meal, and the chaos began again. I asked to see his VIP card, and he screamed and ran out of the store. I thought he was gone, so I was about to cancel his order, but he ran back in with a VIP sticker obviously torn from his car. We aren't allowed to accept drive-through VIP stickers in-store. Customers have to use a VIP card. He waved the sticker in my face, screaming, "Is this good enough for you, B?" I was scared, so I just let it go and gave him the free drink. Unfortunately, the guys in the back had neglected to put more fries in the fryers, so There was going to be a 5-minute wait on the fries. Inconvenient, but not at all my fault. The guy screams some more and then sits in the corner of the store. When the fries are ready, we served them up really quickly and gave them to him. They were still very hot and covered in oil straight from the fryer. He noticed this and decided it would be appropriate to throw the fries into my face and run out of the store. I worked at the front desk in a small hotel in Louisville, Kentucky. I was the lone staff member in the building. We are right next to a convention center and we're full for the entire weekend. One customer was due to leave that afternoon but was avoiding the desk in an attempt to stay another night, which was not cool considering his room was already reserved by another guest. What these people didn't know is that Kentucky doesn't have laws protecting squatters and that I can remove their things if I have to. I did. Anyhow, a friend of this certain derelict customer starts raising all kinds of H because he believes I broke the law in cleaning his friend's things out and cleaning the room for the incoming reservation. So Mr. New York Deer, the friend, decides to call the police and calls me every name in the book in the lobby at the top of his lungs in the middle of the night. He tells me I'm going to get fired, I'm going to get sued for violating his friend's squatter's rights, and the best part is my manager and her boss aren't answering their phones, so I'm lone wolfing it now. Metro Police doesn't make it in time, and my local neighborhood police, who know me, answer the call instead. While one officer comes behind the desk to get my report, the other one does damage control. I come out of the office just in time to hear the second officer tell the rowdy Deer to put his cigar in his mouth and not speak another word or he'd get arrested. He then proceeds to explain to all of the guests in attendance, there was a small crowd of 15 or so people watching, some are drinking and laughing, that Kentucky sides with hotels and businesses in case of squatting, that the customer getting kicked out is indeed kicked out, and that everyone needs to clear the lobby and get some effing sleep now. Best and worst night in that hotel ever. So, customer tried to involve the police to screw me, got screwed themselves. I worked at a half-price books for a few months once, and while on buys, the store buys used books and sometimes periodicals from the public, one day, this guy comes in with a huge stack of Civil War Times magazines. He has at least 50 of them, and he's looking to get rid of them. Now, when HPB buys things from the public, what they pay is based on demand. Twilight books paid out a lot because we sold them as fast as we bought them, and of course, supplies, Stephen King's The Stand, yeah, we already had like 40 copies of that. Now, being that Civil War Times magazine is not really something that is in demand at all, we couldn't pay much. Pair that with the fact that we need the shelf space for magazines that people actually want, Civil War Times wouldn't even get onto the shelf. They'd be taken out back and put directly into the recycle bin. So I offer the guy what we secretly called a sympathy dollar for these magazines that we were just going to toss out anyway. He looks at me like I'm insane, so I tell him the whole spiel about supply and demand, limited shelf space and whatnot, and tell him that we'd be more than happy to recycle them for him and at least give him $1 for his troubles. This is the reply I get from him. What the F? No way! You effing Jew bees, you're what's wrong with this country. I'll toss these effing things into the river before I sell them for $1. I reply, well, have fun with that. Bunch of Jew bees, that's what you are, he says as he picks up his stack of stupid effing magazines and waddles his way out of the store. It's effed up because it's Half Price Books, a store that sells all their merchandise for half the cover price, except rare stuff like first editions, and oftentimes even less than that. How the H does this guy think the store is able to do that? By paying cover prices for everything and then selling it at half of what they paid? Effing idiot. Take a business class. And call me an effing Jew? WTF? I'm not Jewish, but it was enough to make me want to reach over the counter and pop that old racist effer in the throat. And by his logic, he's the one shopping in a discount bookstore and I'm the Jew? I was so shocked at his display and it happened so fast that I didn't even have time to come up with a good comeback or even just tell him to F off. Besides, gotta look professional, right? Why is it that you always come up with the best replies way after the fact. I really wish I could have at least got off a, yo, your effing magazines suck anyway. Actually, it was a mix of Civil War Times and some Civil War reenactment magazines, of which I can't remember the title. I was at Fry's Electronics the return line because of some bad RAM. Never buy RAM from Fry's, and the lady in 2 positions in front of me got called up next. She seemed normal at first. She was trying to return this vacuum cleaner because it wasn't sucking anymore. The thing looked like it had been used outside to clean a construction site. There was caked on white patches of dirt all over it, the cord had several knots in it, and the clear container for dust was packed full, no room for shaking at all. The person told her the problem looked to be that she just needed to empty it and it would work fine, and also mentioned that they could not take a return on it because the purchase was 7 months earlier. She wasn't having this. She took an exaggerated deep breath and started yelling obscenities and curses. Everyone in the line and working the section, as well as a few people walking into the store, froze and stared at the spectacle. This was no small woman either. This woman was about 5'6" to 5'7" and looked like a rather large globe of cellulite. I'm guessing 400 to 500 pounds? Her voice had gone from sweet to rabid shrieking harpy instantaneously. No building, no rising in volume, just straight screeching noise. It's like someone threw a mic in front of its own speaker with the volume on 11. Her face made a similar transformation from white to red. The poor little girl who was tending to her literally took a step back in recoil and fell into the chair behind her, then started looking side to side for further routes of escape. The manager came sprinting out of the office, hands in front of him pumping, palm open towards her, asking her to settle down. This did not work. It made Butterball the orca more angry, and she started hitting the counter with one of the vacuum cleaner's brush attachments. She was calling the girl a useless WC, the manager an effing toad, and kept threatening to sue them. This went on for about 2 minutes with nothing managing to calm her down. There was a large crowd gathering now. She proclaimed, "Fine, if you don't want to give me my GD money," raised the long brush attachment up as if she were gonna strike the girl, I'd had it. I wasn't about to watch this woman get violent, and I yelled, "Hey!" She stopped mid-sentence, jerked her head at me, and shot eye daggers in my face. All I could do was stare at the gobbler on her chin, follow her jerky head movement, and keep swinging around as if it were jello. The words that came out were not the ones I'd intended. "Put the fork down!" Her eyes went wider than they already were, eyes bulged, which seemed an odd reaction to what I thought I'd said in my mind. The whole area burst into laughter, then I realized what I'd said. I was about to correct myself, but she started stomping towards me, vacuum rod attachment high overhead. So I decided to roll with it. I happened to be wearing a red jacket, so I dropped my bag, swung it off, and started acting like a bullfighting matador. The effing woman saw me mocking her and just shrieked. She started effing galloping at me, swinging the thing in circles above her head. She never even made it close I was running like H. I got about 20 feet away when security confronted her with tasers drawn. They didn't tase her, but the sound of one calling the cops on her for attempted assault calmed her down instantly. She immediately went into defensive mode. She ended up getting arrested, and I had my hand shook by 4 or 5 people, including the manager. I even got a girl's number out of the ordeal. The cow stepped on my RAM and crushed it though, but the manager understood and took the return anyway. Thank you for watching. Guys, thank you for all of the support and likes. Subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed yet. See you next time.